So, dude, have you ever really thought that maybe the 90s might have been the only time when wrestling was genuinely mainstream chaos?
And bro, you could not escape it.
I remember seeing the Stone Cold Steve Austin shirts and the Rock shirts everywhere.
Yeah. No, I clearly
Oh,
remember.
look, yeah,
I
see,
used to.
even we
No,
still
I
got
used
it
to.
now.
Oh yeah, this is my AEW one, but yeah, I've got my. I still have my Stone Cold and Rock shirts, even though they're a little snug, but I still got them.
And honestly, that's the kind of reason this podcast exists.
Right? Yeah. No. Yeah, and it explains a lot about our generation. Honestly, I like that synth. I like that synth sound, man. It gives me back to the old days.
Yeah, it reminds me of those 90s games.
No, yeah, even like the 80s and 90s movies. That was
Yeah.
that little nostalgia feel.
Well, everybody, welcome to Cutscenes and Clotheslines. This is Fernie. I'm Mike. And we are, a couple of 90s generation, 80s generation kids who grew up when analog started and now living in a digital age.
Yeah, just say millennial, homie. Just say millennial. That's all we are. We're millennials, but we're like that. Yeah, that age group where it's Gen X mixed in with millennial. Like they refer to us as millennial X, and I'll take that over anything.
We're basically historians, but for absolute nonsense.
That's the best way to put it. Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Think about it, man. I mean, now we've got all these different wrestling organizations, sort of like what it was back then, WWF or E, if you want to call it now,
Mm-hmm.
and WCW. And now
Yeah,
compare
even
that to stuff like AEW and WWE now.
Yeah, I mean, either. I mean, you can look at it even like as the old territory days. I mean, you can look at it that way because right now it's a different type of territory that we're talking about, though. Because I think the way the feels are right now is that there's a lot of people that are either WWE or AEW. I know there's a friend of mine that refuses to watch AEW. I love him. He's wrong, but I still love the guy.
I agree, man. I've watched both, but you know what? You know what I really am liking? I'm really liking the indie stuff. I saw a show out in Round Mountain out here, and it was a AAPW, All American Pro Wrestling, and they're out of Austin.
Mhm.
And they did a great show. Like me, Monica, and Milo, we all went out there and watched them. They did about a 2 hour show for WrestleMania weekend. So
Mhm.
we got to see like the first match of WrestleMania
Right,
out
right, right.
there. But I mean, the wrestlers were good. They were interacting with the crowd. It was really cool. I think that says more than anything about the wrestling is it's just that goofy wrestling that we all love and all fell in love with. That's what it is, and it was really a good show.
But that's the thing, the matter is that sometimes like you can see those indies and it could be goofy and fun, but don't be like goofy and fun like like the early '90s WWF, and they had those really goofy gimmicks. Like they had, remember when Kane, when he was a dentist? He was a dentist and he called himself the White Yankum. Remember that?
I do not remember that.
You
But
know
but
what I
let,
mean?
dude, let's look even back into like even the early 80s, when you had those, teams. I mean, look at Jake the Snake Roberts. I
I mean,
mean,
like, the thing is that with Jake the Snake, he'd be throwing out sermons. So like his background was like I don't know if he was supposed to be like some sort of like that's funny because like you look back at it because like you think Jake the Snake was cool. But you know what think about it's like what was his gimmick? Like I know like Jake the Snake and yeah, I know like the moniker means something. When you look back at it, it's like what was his what was his thing about? Like what was his whole dick? I never I look back and I'm like he's throwing out sermons. He has a snake. Is he like one of those what are they called? Like those preachers that with the snakes? What are they call it? Is there a specific name for that? Or is it just like
uh yeah, no, I wouldn't know where to even think on that one, dude. I mean, don't get me wrong, I loved him. He was an awesome wrestler, and even him when he was with AEW, just recently and stuff like that.
yeah, yeah.
he's still a good wrestler and he still portrays that character, you know. But
Yeah,
I
no,
mean,
but
but he
it's
had a
just
hard
funny.
life, dude. He really
Oh
did.
no,
He
no,
he
yeah, no,
really
no.
did have a hard life, and it's one of those where seeing where he came to and how he is now. Oh, don't, yeah, no way.
Yeah, did you ever see that documentary with Jake the Snake? It's an older documentary near like late '90s, early 2000s. It was a wrestling with shadows, I think it's called. That might be the Bret Hart one.
No, I've seen
Like
a few of the different documentaries.
there's a documentary that really sticks out because it had like it was still when The Rock was The Rock. It was about like it was behind the scenes. Take a like I forget the name of it, but it became really popular, and they had the Jake the Snake story. And yeah, I had no idea his crazy background.
It wasn't like the Beyond the Mat one, was it?
There you go, Beyond the Mat. That's what it was called, Beyond the Mat.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, they had some pretty good ones. I mean, even look at Mick Foley. I mean, Mick Foley, he was incredible. Like, think about the what was that, '98 King of the Ring match, the
That
infamous Hell
was
in the Cell.
oh man, well you got yeah, that made his career. That made his career, and it also broke his career because eventually, all the medical stuff started coming out, and no, no, no. Yeah, like that was the first time that you could actually. I think that was the first time I could actually say that the WWE was cool.
But see, think about it. During that time, that was when, we were at our most growth. And for us, it was one of those where, like, we did this stuff too. I mean, think about the matches we had out at Album Park
Yeah,
with the
yeah,
cookie pans and I mean, watching, I seem to remember watching someone backflip off of a backstop onto you.
yeah, yeah. I remember that. I remember that now, man. Well, cause that that backyard stuff was wild.
Oh,
And then yeah, and then of course then I had with my friend during that time it was we were 17 and we were on ROTC, so a bunch of the ROTC guys got together and we made our own wrestling company called WD World Domination Wrestling UDW.
please tell me
And
David Dominguez wasn't part of that.
no, he wasn't part of it. Like
But
no, that we
he was one of those wrestling guys that we talk about. I mean, he was all into it, but he was also into the luchador stuff too.
no, no, yeah, but just like, but he took it to, like, he thought,
A
like,
whole nother level.
yeah, we were here, we knew what it was all about, and he was like, I want to say, like, here, but with more of the, towards the fantasy end of the wrestling.
Right, right.
Yeah, yeah, so, yeah,
All
no,
right.
look,
So
interesting, dude.
let's ask this. Let's check this debate here.
Okay.
WWF, WCW, Monday Night Wars. Who really won it?
Well, obviously, I mean, you have to look at it. I mean, it was WWF once. I mean, WCW was on the right course. They were beating them for was it again 82 weeks? They beat
Yeah.
them in number one. They had them on the ropes, and then it was just bad decision after bad decision. I mean, we've heard it over and over again as wrestling fans. You know how WCW they had them, and then they just made some very bad decisions at the end, and that's what put the nail in the coffin. I mean, yeah, 82 weeks. I mean, 82 weeks. That's a year and what is it? A year
Well,
and a
it's
month?
52 weeks is a year, so that's a
Yeah,
year and 30 weeks.
yeah,
So yeah.
yeah. So like they
And
had them. They had them.
I mean, storyline wise, I think both shows had a good storyline. Don't get me wrong. I think that, I remember coming home from school, turning on the recorder in my mom's bedroom to record one, putting the recorder on to record the other, and then watching the videos, and, just because I wasn't able to watch them live that
Yeah,
night. Hey, you know what?
yeah.
Okay. Or if I was doing something, I had videos recording. And for a while, it was all WCW. I didn't think about WWF as much back then.
Well, yeah, because like the WWF, they were. Oh, let's think about that time because WWF they were still going through like those ridiculous gimmicks, and that's what eventually that would lead them to change because like again like that time they had was it they had IRS was it
Erwin R.
Erwin
Shyster.
Shyster? Yeah, Erwin R. Shyster. What? And then they had a thief, the Repo Man, and they had all kinds of these goofy ass characters. I'm like, oh, what is this? What are these like? What are these clown? Like, dude, they had a
But
little clown with Doink the Clown there.
yeah,
I
Doink
mean,
the Clown. But let's if let's go back and think about this here and talk about that. You had those goofy characters, but think about some of the wrestlers that we got into the Attitude Era, and into that, those newer eras, who came from that. Papa Shango.
who eventually became the Godfather? Yeah, 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 yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
So I mean, these were wrestlers who I wonder if it had been maybe a different style or a different creative team, if it would have been a better and different story.
Well, I mean, the thing is that, as they say, competition drives competition, right? So that's what happened. I mean, WCW, they got a little grounded. They got rid of some of their goofy characters, and they got rid of some of those those underlines. Because they brought in the older generation because they're being kicked out of
Oh, like
WWF.
like Glacier.
Because they tried to capitalize
Mortal
on Mortal
Kombat.
Kombat, yeah, so they
Yeah.
had Glacier. That was Glacier. Yeah. That was great. Glacier, yeah, yeah. And like
But but let's but
he was legit, but it's just just a terrible gimmick.
oh yeah, no, most definitely. Most definitely. Now, but we all know that, during that time, kids were absolutely getting stone cold stunned at recess. I mean, we all used to do it. How many times in the ROTC classroom did we do it?
Too many times, man. We had a lot of stuff at our we really did, man. But yeah, yeah, you would see stunners, and of course, you would see the DX sign. We do a lot of DX at the hallways. Pointed
Yeah.
at anybody, we would just go there and just be like,
Yep. There you go. Everybody, crossing the DX sign,
uh,
then when you had, the WCW guys who had the NWO t-shirts and the whole Wolfpack thing and all
oh yeah,
that.
just go out there and just too sweet.
Uh-huh.
We even do that still, man.
But
There's
see,
some
but
people that we still do that. Yeah.
yeah, but let's look at who's grown from that. I mean, you had the whole Wolfpack thing, right? Who
hmm
uses that now?
Well, that's a Bullet Club. Well,
There you go.
it used to be Bullet Club. It's kind of
It
dropping
still
off,
is Bullet Club
but still,
because
yeah, yeah, yeah.
you've got the American side Bullet Club who's with AEW now, and then you've got the Bullet Club, where it all started in New Japan.
Right, right.
So you still do have the Bullet Club groups, but
hmm
it's so weird now that it's so divided between the companies. I think it would be so much cooler for these companies to be able to agree to sort of cross promote each other, help each
Yeah.
other instead of trying to fight each other the way they do it. I mean, you've got
Well, yeah. I mean,
WWE making shows and AEW making shows on the same night.
well, yeah, and you would think that you would drive business, but right now WWE is so corporate right now. I mean, those guys, they're. I mean, I'm not sure if you heard of that controversy, but like a couple weeks ago, they let go of these big name wrestlers from the roster, and they were asking a lot of them to take pay cuts.
Yeah,
And you're just like, wait a second, hold on. You guys have invested in places that you held an event in Saudi Arabia,
you've held multiple events.
and you've held you're a global brand. You're making billion, if not millions, you're making billions of dollars, and you still want roster cuts. I mean, come on, man.
Oh,
Come
yeah.
on,
Yeah, no, yeah,
really?
and that's like when I heard about those and those with the roster cuts, and then them talking, people talking about how they were, WWE's been pushing for, pay cuts. That's what. There's no way. There's a rumor going around that TKO was upset with Roman Reigns. So my question is that because he didn't want to take a pay cut?
Well, I mean, he's your biggest star. I mean, right now he's your legit biggest star. I mean, they just recently brought back Brock Lesnar recently, and that's the thing, though. I think it's right now with the WWE. There's a lack of like someone to push this new direction they're going to. Because right now, I mean, Rollins, he's starting to get older. Becky Lynch, the whole the man gimmick that she had, that's starting to run a little old. You know, you don't really have a face of the company after John Cena left. I mean, who do you really call like the future of the WWE? Who is the face right now? Is it still Randy Orton? Is it still these older generational guys that have been with the company for 20 something years? I mean, you eventually you're gonna need a new face.
Right, exactly. And then like with Brock Lesnar, we all know that Brock Lesnar, he stated at WrestleMania he was done. And
Mm-hmm.
then he's coming back. We all know he's probably out at SummerSlam.
Right.
I think he's going to push Obafemi at this next PPE.
But he's already pushed. I mean, the thing is that he's already given him the push. So you mean that loss at, was it at WrestleMania or was it at Backlash? What was it? I
Well,
forgot.
WrestleMania, he had a major loss. I mean, that was a killer loss. He lost in 14 seconds.
So like that, right? So then, like, that's the thing, though. It's like you beat the animal. Not only did you beat him so quickly that, that, like, I guess what the kids call it, aura. it's
Right.
it's kind of gone now. Like the beast, like I just don't care. Like it's like you beat this guy who's been a monster in real life and in the WWE. They built him up, and now they're done with him and they just throw him aside. I mean, that's the thing
I
I
know, but
really, yeah.
see, from what I've heard in some of the
Hold
shows
on,
and stuff like
hold on,
that,
my pops.
no worries, no worries. But like, with Brock Lesnar, a lot of it was saying that, he's actually wanting to retire. Like he's ready to retire. I
Mhm.
think, he's done a show. I mean, if you think about Brock Lesnar, he's always been the monster, the beast. He's always WrestleMania matches were
Right,
done quick for him.
right, right.
He came in, won the match, went home, got his winnings and then went home.
Yep.
And
Yeah, like,
I think him losing to Obafemi that same way, I think really it was, he even said, people even said, it was a way for him to help push Obafemi, help
hmm
boost him. And
yeah.
I think that's exactly what it did. We've got a new beast, a new monster, and I think, Obafemi's, I think he's amazing. I think he's got a great, he talks well, he wrestles well.
Yeah, but I mean, but the question is now that because they brought back Brock Lesnar again, like why even push Obafemi if you're gonna bring Brock Lesnar back? I mean, that just, I mean, they should just left it the way it was, but instead they just keep pushing and pushing a little bit more and pushing when it's not necessary. It's not like you could bring up somebody new like Braun Breaker or push somebody else. You got all this talent. Why go back to this to Brock Lesnar? He's done. Like he's old. He's not like, well, I wouldn't say old, but like he's just, you know, he already did what he needed to do. Just leave it alone.
Yeah, but with with say Braun Breaker, I mean, you've got him right now in a storyline with Seth Rollins.
Yeah, but it's just the same thing. Like you have Braun Breaker, who was built up as another monster. One of these guys. I mean, look at him. The way he's been portrayed. He's supposed to be like this total badass, and then all of a sudden, they're just pushing Brock Lesnar back into the picture when when he got his ass kicked in WrestleMania. Is this the Monster's Revenge? It just, to me, it's just like they should just let that be.
No, I definitely agree, and I think a lot of the problem is right now, especially, is that with TKO and the way they are running the company, like they're not doing it for the fans, and that's the whole thing. That's the whole thing. The reason wrestling started and wrestling, was around is it was a show, it was entertainment, and it has become corporate.
Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, you talk about something that started, at carnies. They were considered the first carnies. They were considered, just a sideshow attraction, as much as like the freak shows. That's how wrestling started, and then all of a sudden, snowballs. It's evolved, and now it's this not million, billion
Billion
dollar,
dollar company.
$1 billion industry. And right now it's treading water. I mean, it really is. I mean, uh, with
Well,
thanks to the internet.
see, and it's funny because WWE is starting to tank, but you've got companies like AEW. You've got companies even like these newer indie ones, like was that MWL, MLW?
Or even here in El Paso, where we have New Era, also like New Era
Hmm.
too. Yeah,
Yeah, and those are the ones I think that people enjoy going to more. We come out in, at Austin, I can go to a show out there and it's like, it's $20 for the night, to go into the show. But
Yeah.
you know what? It's a 2.5 hour show. They engage with the fans. It feels like that old wrestling style.
Yep, and that's what always is, because the thing is that you want to, sometimes, thanks to the internet, you could post on the internet, where they're gonna be, and how much it is, and it does it's an extremely inviting environment, and they're gonna get to do things that you've never seen on camera, and they do it for less. So it's just like it feels where WWE, I know that they want to protect their wrestlers. I know that they want to protect all these guys, and injuries suck. I am well aware of it. But when you become stale and it becomes too careful, I don't know. Like when you look at AEW, those guys, they do a lot of indie stuff, and that's what always it was always exciting. Even before AEW, there was a show called Lucha Underground,
Yes, I
and
remember that.
Lucha Underground was fucking awesome. That show really brought in a lot of these like Mexican wrestlers or indie wrestlers that no one. I mean, I never heard of Mac, or I never heard of who was the other wrestler?
Well,
Angelico.
I learned
Yeah.
about um oh they wrestle now AEW or used to. Now they wrestle WWE. Uh
Oh, what are you
Penta.
talking about? Penta, yeah, Penta, and Ray
Penta
Phoenix.
and Ray Phoenix, because
Yeah,
they were the Lucha Bros.
yeah. I knew Penta from the old AAA days when he was in Mexico. But then he started blowing up. He started going to New Japan, and then he started hanging out with a young bucks from the AEW guys. When Penta first came out, Penta came out like, ooh, maybe I want to say 20 years ago,
Oh, he's
maybe
been
even
away.
more
He's
than
been
that.
out for a while,
Yeah, he's been
but
out for a
I
while. Just
barely
that,
learned about him recently.
yeah.
Well, not recently, but when I saw him, probably 2019 is when I first saw him on AEW, and then I started researching him and watching for his older matches and stuff like
hmm
that, and that's when I
hmm
found Lucha Underground. And
Yeah, because when he started in AAA, he was, because there's a real popular wrestler out there too by the name of Octagon, and that's how he started. He was one of those. He was one of the Octagon
Octagon, yeah.
wrestlers. Yeah. So
Hmm.
then, but then he brought on his own, and that's when he became Penta, and then he started growing his brand. He started growing,
Ah, so that's the
and
same
yeah,
wrestler.
yeah. Well, not well.
Same,
Is he the
same
son?
lineage.
Yeah, same lineage. There you go. That's the
Gotcha.
word.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's
All
the same
right.
lineage from Pentagon. So yeah, like, or Octagon, sorry. And so yeah, so like he started building it, building and building, and then when he came to Lucha Underground, I was happy. And then when I saw him at Lucha Underground, he had changed his game. He was a different wrestler. It was Lucha Underground. If you've never seen it, go. It's on YouTube, because it used to be on El Rey Network, and El Rey's defunct now. But you can go ahead and check out the matches that were on YouTube, and it's just even when remember when Rey Mysterio was gone from WWE for a while?
Right.
Yeah, he went to Lucha Underground, and he actually did a match with Penta and Ray Phoenix. Check it out. It's on YouTube. It's great.
Okay. Yeah. No, I'll definitely have to check that out. All right. Well, give us just a moment, folks. We're going to take about a 30-second break here and get ourselves some water, and we will be right back.
So this is so as we're talking about this though, it's funny because like all I think about are just things that run through my mind, and one of those things also is like early anime. Remember early anime?
Oh, dude, you were the one who introduced me to anime, man. Like,
And
you
you're
got to think
welcome.
about it. The first anime I ever saw, Akira, and
Yep.
that just drew me in. I mean, the artwork was amazing. It was something that we hadn't seen. I had never seen before.
Yeah, exactly, man. Is that it with anime? My my first running with anime, and I didn't realize it was when I was in a young age, where I was maybe 3 or 4 years old, and I remember in Arizona sitting down the TV, and it's just like very little things here and there, but I remember watching Robotech and
Oh,
and Voltron. Those were
oh. Well, see, I
Those,
remember
yeah.
Voltron, so I mean, I guess I did see anime a little bit before Voltron. I mean, I didn't realize it was anime to me. It was just a cartoon.
Yeah, no, no, yeah, yeah. And the thing is, I mean, we were too young to even realize. But yeah, I remember watching those cartoons and being different from the other, like the American cartoons, like Thundercats or Silverhawks, He-Man. It was just a different animation style, and I didn't know at the time that it even had a name. And the name that it was before, it's gonna sound. I know it's gonna sound bad, but before anime, that style of animation was called Japanimation.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's how you introduced it to me.
and I know it's terrible, but we didn't
But
have
you know,
at
it
that time. We didn't have anime. We didn't have that
that's
word
where it
anime.
came from, though, for us.
Hmm. Yeah,
So we put it together in that sense, in that way.
yeah, exactly. So it's just funny to me that the evolution of how this has come down to like the word anime, which thank you because the other
Yeah,
one was just it
yeah,
was
no,
terrible.
definitely.
It was terrible. Oh
I
my
definitely
goodness.
agree. I mean, but think about the cart. But let's okay. So we're talking, animation. Let's
Mhm.
talk about that really. The cartoons back in the early '90s, the stuff we grew up on Saturday mornings, getting up to watch. You'd spend the night, and what channel was it we watched? We'd watch Fox. What did we watch?
Let's see, on
X-Men.
Fox. No, then if I remember correctly, the lineup on Fox. Let me see at that time. Let's see if I remember correctly. So
I
it
don't
would
see, and
be
I don't even remember the lineup. I remember X-Men, but even okay,
yeah.
well, hold on.
All
So
right.
Friday night, where did we
Mm-hmm.
go when we were young? Well, let's talk. We're talking, third grade.
Oh,
What
yeah,
was
we were here.
Friday night? Where did we go?
Blockbuster.
Blockbuster. Or no, I think even before it wasn't even Blockbuster then. It was third grade. It was like Castle Video or something.
Castle Video. Holy crap! I haven't heard that name in a long.
Or Major Video. I think Major Video was the one that was there at the corner of Pebble Hills and Lee Trevino.
Yeah, we had a membership at the Furs. They had a
Yep,
video store in
yep.
Furs.
Well,
Yeah.
Albertsons used to have a video store, and before it was
Yep.
Albertsons, it was like a Skaggs or something. I remember my grandma Kellum used to take me there.
Yeah, yeah, no, I remember riding my bike to Furs or to the Blockbuster, even the Hollywood Video that was like just right down the street. I remember that very vividly.
Yeah, yeah, I know. But so we're third grade, on a Friday night, we're spending the night at each other's house or whatever.
Hmm.
We'd go to Blockbuster. Like I remember my parents would take us to Blockbuster. So what did we would get like cartoons that had the different episodes on them and we'd watch it all night.
Yeah, yeah,
Like the
and
Visionaries. Do you remember the Visionaries?
Visionaries. It was funny because actually somebody brought that up where they asked me about Visionaries, and I was like, oh yeah, that's a old cartoon with the toys because back in the day that's how they would do. They would bring out the toys and then they would have
They would have the
the
cartoon come
the
out.
cartoon. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
how the
It
Ninja
was
Turtles blew
marketing.
up. Yeah,
It was
that's yeah.
exactly what it was supposed to be. It was marketing for kids.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's the way it worked. That's the way it was
You
like
had the battle between GoBots and Transformers.
go back
Personally,
section.
I preferred GoBots.
Oh, really? That's a hot take. Why did you like GoBots better than Transformers?
I like the storyline a little bit better, actually. I don't know what it was. The storyline
Eh,
just seemed to flow a little bit better. I mean, I enjoyed Transformers. I really did. It was, it's a one in one, type thing. But I really did like the GoBots. I don't know what it was. If it was the animation, it was just it held me more at the time.
And then back then too, the difference between the two were also that at that time, Transformers, their Transformers were made out of steel. They weren't plastic; they were steel.
Right, yeah.
They were die cast steel, and then you
Hmm.
had the plastic GoBot ones. And I think that made a huge difference because you could throw those stinking Transformers across the street, or you could throw them against the wall, and they would not break. And
Well, I
because
remember.
you're a kid, you
Oh
just like.
yeah. Well, you play with them. Definitely. Yeah, no. Legos. I mean, dude, we've been playing with Legos, forever. I remember the castle set for my birthday one year that we got and us putting it together.
Yeah.
It took us like a week to put it together over the summer because we'd start it and then we'd get like, okay, time to do something else. And we didn't want to break it apart, so we'd like leave it in the corner and then we'd come back and do it the next day and work a few more sections.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, and then you see it's funny because like you see the evolution of Legos, and now they have
Oh yeah.
these crazy Legos, like these flower looking ones, and now they have the
You
licensing.
know what? You know what? No, the flower ones, my wife, she loves the flower ones. Monica loves those flower ones. So it's actually a pretty cool gift, for her. So
Hmm.
we'll get her something like that for her birthday, like Milo, my little one. She's like, "Oh, let me get that for mom because I think she'll like to build it and stuff." And then
Hmm.
Monica has to fight her over building it. So I mean, they are some pretty cool designs and stuff, but I mean, I
Yeah.
think, like for me, I like just the basic ones. Even just the Star Wars ones are pretty cool.
Right.
Milo has a Yoda,
Nice.
and so
Nice.
yeah, or not a Yoda. I think it was like a Grogu, like one of the baby Yoda type ones.
Well, okay, so it's
But
Grogu.
she,
Okay,
but
nice.
she loves Harry Potter, so she has like Dobby. She has the stretching. What is it? The house,
Hmm.
the house, not Green God. Is it Green God's place?
Greek Guts at the bank.
No, no, yeah, not Gringotts. Do you remember the house that uh the uncle lived in? Harry's uncle.
Oh, Uncle Vernon.
No, Sirius.
Oh, Sirius Snape or Sirius
No,
Dust. Oh,
Sirius Black.
Sirius Black. My bad.
Yeah.
Sirius. Anyway, yeah, 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 yeah.
But his house.
Oh, the one
uh,
that no, the one that they lived in that
Yeah,
would like they could just stretch in, stretch out
right.
like
Yeah,
that.
it would stretch in and
Oh,
stretch out. She
gotcha.
has that one, and it's really cool. And she actually has it set up on her shelves as a decoration.
Nice. Yeah, but like it's just weird seeing the evolution because like first, I remember my first Lego set where it was just like a little basic house, just little basic ones, and now they've got these kits for full sized Darth Vaders and, and you can make
Right.
the giant Death Star ones. It's crazy, man.
Oh yeah, no. The Let's talk about really, you know, things kids today will never understand. It's the struggle of literally waiting a week for a new episode. Nowadays, everything is out, the whole season's out in one day.
Yeah, yeah, no, no, like I remember in high school specifically, Dragon Ball Z.
Oh,
And people went nuts for Dragon Ball Z,
that was
and I
on
had
Cartoon Network.
it was on Cartoon Network. The thing is that what was so funny about it was that what a lot of people didn't know, and I knew, and I spoiled Dragon Ball Z on purpose to those jerks, because these guys would be talking about Dragon Ball Z, and they would be going off like how, oh, that episode, blah blah blah. Beknownst to them, over here in El Paso, we're a border town next to Juarez. Juarez, or Mexico, I should say, has a lot of contracts with a lot of Japanese animation
Oh
studios.
yeah,
So
you were able to see it on Telemundo.
yeah, so like for example, like I remember growing up, there was a cartoon or an anime that was on TV Azteca, and it was called Los Caballeros del Zodiaco, or the Gentlemen, or the Knights of the Zodiac. That's Saint Seiya. So then I remember watching those episodes, and they would play back to back. They would play like 3 episodes a weekend. They
Right.
would. So then, like I'd be caught up with all those animes. So at the same time, they did the same thing with Dragon Ball. So they would Dragon Ball Z. No, they did it with the original Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z. So like these guys, Channel 32, this on over the air network, they would just like play back to back to. They would play like 3 episodes a day, not on Mondays or Wednesdays. No, no, it was they would play 3 episodes a day. I would watch an entire series in about a month, and these guys are talking about like one episode 1 week, and I would tell them, "Oh yeah, this character dies and this guy dies," and they're like, "Shut up!" And yeah, I spoiled it to them because they didn't want to talk about Dragon Ball Z when I knew about Dragon Ball Z.
Oh, yeah, no, completely. Um, you've got shows like that. I remember Telemundo, and I remember the problem with watching it was the fact that I couldn't understand the language. So I was really at a downfall on that because it was like, oh, because I'd see it, but I was like,
Yeah.
oh nope, I don't understand it, so I go to something else. But really, it's funny you say that because like having cable, it sort of helped out a little bit with that, I
Hmm.
guess, because back then some of those shows came on some of the English channels, but late at night. So you were able to watch them, and it would have the subtitles. It was in
Hmm.
Japanese, but it would have the subtitles. I
Oh hell,
remember watching, uh, I think, was it not Robotech? Was it the Battleship Yamamoto?
man, that's a deep cut.
Yeah. Like I remember watching stuff like that, and it was in Japanese, so I didn't understand the language, but at least it gave me the subtitles, so I knew it. So I had an idea of what they were saying. I can't say what they were actually saying, but yeah.
Yeah.
So really, it's weird because when you got into it, it was really cool. But the good thing was then, at least then, when we were younger, we could go to Blockbuster or whatever video store, and we could go
Yeah.
and rent the movies, and they had a
Well,
whole section of them.
I remember my eldest sister Karina, who got me into anime. She used to have a membership through Columbia House. Remember Columbia House?
Oh, dude, yeah, my dad used to have a membership through that.
But that was like, but back then the membership costs were astronomical. I mean, back then, I think it was like $30 a month. And at that time, that's a lot of money for like the early '90s. When they had the option, so $30 a month, and you would receive a VHS uh anime to the mail. And I remember she was part of that, and we got a couple of ones. What was it? Um, I think we may have gotten one of the
Well, I
Ranma
remember well,
half.
I think that's how you introduced me to Akira.
Well, yeah, because like the offer was like I can remember the commercial still. What's it called? Authentic Japanese animation. Through this and that, blah blah, and like
Right, it was like buy one, get three free the first time you order.
yeah, it was like by Akira on VHS, and that's how actually when I was introduced to Akira, it was this bootleg edition that one of Carrie's friends had brought over, and I remember watching. It, I'm like, oh, what the hell is this? Like, what is this? I don't know this style. And the blood and the gore,
Right. Well,
and the
that
whole
was the
thing, like,
same way the first time
yeah,
I saw. So like Akira was graphic.
yeah,
But like the first time I
uh-huh.
saw oh, what was it? Ninja Scroll?
Ninja Scroll. I
Oh
love
my
Ninja
gosh,
Ninja Scroll.
that one was
So great.
crazy. That one was insane. But really, okay, so let's talk about shows and stuff like that we watched back then that were that way. Like during the 90s, you had SNICK. Are You Afraid of the Dark? It
Hmm.
wasn't, and the worst part about it was they weren't scary. They weren't those gory, scary movies that you would expect horror,
Hmm.
but it made you think.
Right, and I think that's what the purpose was. That they actually had smart writing back then, where it was more Hitchcockian, more than, let's say, if you want to, well, I mean, if you want to compare slashes, I think it was just more psychological than actual blood and guts horror.
Right. Yeah. Well, like Jason, Freddy,
Hmm.
Child's Play,
Yeah, yeah,
that was the whole
all those
thing.
slashes, yeah, all those slashes. But I mean, back then that was
I mean, my first
the
real
fullest
horror
thing.
movie, I think, man, that was probably Lost Boys.
Really, really, Lost Boys, really.
Yeah.
Oh man, like I remember my introduction to horror was so uh my 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 parent, oh, let me see here because I'm trying to track. Okay, so then my first, like, what I can recall, my first introduction to horror was watching Predator in the movie theaters with my cousins.
So Predator. I
Huh?
mean, see, and that's weird because I don't see Predator as a horror movie. I really don't. I see it more as a science fiction action movie.
Okay,
I know
because
it's
like,
in the horror genre and I
right,
understand that,
right.
but I don't. But it's like oh, there's a horror movies. Okay, so like horror movies I remember, you know what? I take it back. My first horror movie was probably Puppet Master, actually.
Oh,
The
Puppet
Puppet
Master.
Master, and I think it was even the third one. It wasn't even the first one. It was Puppet Master 3, Toulon's Revenge, with the whole Nazi fight and stuff like that and everything.
Those movies were
And that was
wild.
horror. It was
Yeah.
scary. It gave me nightmares. So watching stuff like Freddy and Jason,
Mhm.
it was one of those things that I didn't do because I didn't like the dreams it gave me. I mean, I would have them chasing me in my freaking
Never,
dreams.
never bothered me. That which I
Yeah.
think explains a lot. Never, but it never bothered me
Yeah.
at all.
So I had to be, I don't know if it was just my imagination at the time. I don't know
Yeah.
if it was the fact that, I had that overactive type brain, but it was one of those. And my brain, I mean, dude, it's one of those where when I was younger, I would watch a movie like that and then I'd go to sleep and I'd start having a nightmare and then I'd wake up and then I'd go back to
Mhm.
sleep and I'd continue the nightmare right where I left off.
Oh man.
So
Oh
and so
man.
it was just a continuous nightmare all night long, and on top of being diabetic, and the whole reason I'm having these nightmares is because my blood sugar was low all night long and I didn't know it because I was 10 years old at the time.
No, like I don't know, cause like it's weird, cause like if you look into like the Spanish culture, we were already scared enough. It was like, oh, you're gonna have El Cucuy or La Llorona, so we were already scared.
Well, dude, I mean, but see, and I would hear those stories from my parents and my grandparents, and or my mom's family at least, and that didn't bother me. The
Yeah.
stories, the verbal stories, did not bother me. I loved
Mhm.
reading horror novels.
Yeah.
I would read books that were scary books just to read them,
Right.
but it was funny because it wouldn't affect my dreams.
Well, what I remember you had or your mom or your dad, I'm not too sure which one of the two, had a very extensive Stephen King collection.
Oh, that was my dad, dude, straight
That was your
out.
dad?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I figured.
And
So
see,
yeah, like
but even Stephen King stuff, it's weird because I love his books, but Stephen King stuff was not something that was super scary. But in the movies, it was frightening. It was terrifying.
right. So then in that case, I mean, because you're a big reader, so then what's something that you read that actually scared the heck out of you?
Oh man, ooh, give me a second to think about that. You know
Yeah,
what, man?
because yeah.
There, it's weird because I'm very strange on the type of books I read. I
Mhm.
really didn't read a whole bunch of horror books like that. Like I read a lot of the horror short story type stuff.
Mhm.
And those just really they were scary, but to me they were just like, huh, okay, funny. So into the novel stuff, there really wasn't anything that scared me or terrified me. It was the movies that did it in all actuality. The books really just gave me a new plane of where my brain could go and dream about. And
Right.
I dream of being with some character in those books. But when I watched the movie, it put the demon to my brain as I could see it. Like
Yeah, it
Freddy
give you
Krueger
yeah,
and Jason.
it visualized
Yeah,
it for you.
yeah.
It made it more tangible.
And Chucky. I mean, oh God, Chucky was Chucky was one of those that, but then again, if you want to talk horror, was Godzilla considered horror?
Considering the background, I mean, because you're looking at Godzilla and you look at the background because it was meant to be an allegory for uh the nuclear fallout, basically. So when you look at the background of what Godzilla was based on, I think you kind of have to put it into that horror genre. Of course, that could be monster movie because that's how I define it. Because like you could say horror, but like okay, there are different sub genres of horror. So you have like, you got your slashers, you got your what else is there? You got your blood splatter, you got your gore, you got your giallo, and then you have the monster movies. So yeah, absolutely Godzilla with its background with the whole nuclear fallout and how it's fallen into that category. Yeah, it's absolutely horror slash monster movie.
But then, for us, like Godzilla didn't give me nightmares. It's really funny because it was just, I guess it was just that more scarier stuff. Like I didn't watch a lot of the scary stuff until I got older, and then it didn't bother my dreams as much.
Okay, so then in
You know,
this case, when did I introduce you to the Evil Dead?
oh, dude, we were. Oh, I would probably say 13 when we watched The Crow. After we watched The Crow, so it was right around that same time year.
Oh, okay, all
That
right,
was when Aaron and Chris were still around, I think, even. So maybe we were even a little bit younger.
okay, yeah, yeah, because
Eighth
then
grade, maybe ninth, seventh grade.
sounds about right. That more or less, yeah, 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 yeah. I would agree.
But see, like one of my first horror movies that was introduced to me was The fucking Exorcist.
That was everybody. That's the introduction right there. We didn't have any warnings. We were just thrown into the fire. It was just here's this movie. Do you like it or not? And then
Yeah,
and
but
then
let's
you
also talk about this,
shit your
okay?
pants.
You introduced that to me at, I would say, I think it was one of my cousins who did it at in fifth grade, okay? And who was the one who was stuck at a private school? So, was all around, having to deal with all this Catholic stuff and Christian
Right,
stuff and religious stuff, and then on top of it, was sort of the outcast of
hmm
the kids.
right.
So people would, see all these scary movies and stuff, and it wasn't something I was into. And I was just like, nah, you know what? I didn't watch it, and they would discuss it, and they would talk about it, and it was just like, nah, I really. They're like, well, why don't you like it, man? It's like, I can't explain it. Like, I really just don't. It's not something
Yeah,
I enjoy watching. I was like, but I'll watch The Crow. I'll watch Predator. Predator didn't bother me. And Predator was one of those weird science-y type ones with the aliens. Not a
right.
problem. Independence Day, would you consider that a horror movie?
Well, I mean, let me see, because I would put it under yeah, like alien invasion or apocalyptic. You could put it under disaster movie also. So yeah, like it's a good question because like if you put Independence Day, yeah, it's got its action moments, it's got its goofy moments, it's got its comedy, but it's a movie where if you take actually the serious mode of it, it's aliens have come to make us extinct. That's horrifying. That is a horrifying feeling.
Okay, well, let's Glass.
Okay.
Would you consider that one a horror movie, the way that it's done? It's more of I know it's a comic book. I understand, or was it Mr. Glass? I think it is, right? With not Morgan Freeman. It's based off of a multiverse series, like a DC or a graphic novel one.
With Morgan Freeman?
Unbreakable, I think was the first one where I think it was the
Oh no, that's Samuel L. Jackson, and
thank
you're
you.
thinking
That's the
of
one. Yeah, Samuel
uh,
Jackson, and then it goes into Mr. Glass. I think was the next one.
yeah, it's so you're talking about like he was Unbreakable, then you're talking about the other one that he had, what was it with oh my goodness, it's starting to slip my mind now. Yeah, it's M. Night Shyamalan.
Yeah. Okay.
I
So
know,
so it
yeah,
was M. Night Shyamalan who did those.
yeah, I'm talking, yeah, 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 M. Night
Oh,
Shyamalan.
okay.
Yeah, so M. Night Shyamalan, he wanted to create kind of like this comic book atmosphere movie. So yeah, he made Unbreakable, and then he made Broken. I think it's no Split. Sorry, that's what it was, Split.
Okay.
And then Mr. Glass.
See, would you consider those horror?
Let me
The way
see.
they're done, they're psychological horror, maybe?
Well, I mean, that's a good question because because when you talk about psychological horror, then you talk about something like, for me again, Until Lamps is psychological
Ah,
horror.
yeah, okay.
So then, does it fit into the same category as psychological horror?
So a lot of the John Malkovich movies, um, where you have that really you have to think about it. There's one where the guy is was it multiple personalities that he has? I remember watching it when I was in Orlando, living
Mhm.
with Monica and Victoria and Frank, and all the
Right.
kids would come down to Victoria's house and would spend the night, the girls and stuff. So we'd all, watch movies. And there was one that we watched. It was sort of that way, where it's a horror in a way, but it's that psychological theory type horror that really you have to think about it. And when you do, you're sort of like, oh wow,
And you can't remember the name of it. And you said it with John
ah,
Malcolm,
I
with John
can't.
Malkovich.
I don't remember if it's John Malkovich, but it's one, I want to say that that's what pops into my head, but it's one off of those same lines of the types of stuff that he's done, some of the other ones that he's done, like American Psycho,
Okay,
where
American
it's
Psycho.
the that style, and it just
Like,
has a
go ahead.
no, go ahead.
No, like for example, the one that comes off the top of my head again is like Jacob's Ladder.
Yes, yeah,
Gotcha.
exactly, yeah.
Okay, okay, I gotcha. So almost like a surreal, meta type of thing. Gotcha. Okay, okay. Huh.
Yeah, you know what? We're gonna have to look that up. I'll do some research on that, and we'll throw
Right,
it into one of our next episodes.
right.
But speaking of next episodes, we're gonna go
Mm,
ahead and probably wrap things up for the night here. It sounds like I need to go help do some cooking, so I guess we're gonna go ahead and call that a wrap. Uh,
me
so
like food
yeah,
good.
no, actually we're doing something new tonight. We're doing some catfish fried tacos.
Ah,
So fried
okay, all
catfish
right,
tacos. So and
nice.
it's weird because my wife does not like catfish, so she decided to do chicken, so we're gonna fry up some chicken too. And so but
Don't be scared, Monica. Try it. Jeez, just try it. Come on.
well, you know what?
Mhm.
She might try a bite and see how it tastes, and if she likes it or not. It's just that flavor and texture
Right.
is that thing. It's just that mental trigger thing, and I can understand that definitely.
I'm rolling my eyes extremely hard if you can't tell.
Well, the thing about it is, I give it to my wife. She will try it. She will at least try it first to
All right.
see. I've made fish many times, and every time I've made it, she will at least try a bite and be like, "Okay, I can do this one." And she's had some more, and other times she's like, no, that one bite was enough." So
Oh,
she at least tries it. Same thing with my kid. She at least tries it too. So,
okay. Well,
but
at least try it, but
oh yeah, most
love it.
definitely.
All right,
But
man.
future episodes that are coming up, we're going to be talking about stuff, definitely maybe going into a deeper dive on the Monday Night Wars. Maybe
Absolutely.
talk about the collapse of WCW and the fall of that and what the outcome and leading up to that was. Uh, Maybe get into some old Nickelodeon stuff. There was all sorts of shows in that time frame, so.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That was the heyday. That was the golden era.
Definitely, definitely, definitely. Well, Fernie, I don't know if you have the information there, but if not, then don't worry about it. But if you want, let the people know where they can find us on TikTok or Instagram,
Well,
just so
yeah,
that
of
way
course, man.
people can find us, because I'm sure we're going to be posting some clips pretty soon.
Oh yeah. So let me see here. The Instagram you can find us at cutscenes and clotheslines, and also on TikTok, same thing at cutscenes dot clotheslines. That's where you can find us. Anything else you want to add?
Uh, Give me just a second there. Sorry about that. I didn't realize I was muted.
Fantastic.
All right. Well, folks, I hope you all have a good night. I hope we've, kept you involved, and I hope you definitely will come back and see us again. I'm sure we'll have some more wonderful shows. Tell us what you think, and have a good night.
Good night.